right, everybody, welcome to One Nation, a Sports Locker Magazine Extra. I am your host, Kirk DeMars, and today is Monday, March the 25th. March the 25th. Can you guys believe that we are already almost done with the third month of 2024? Things have just been going extremely fast. There's been a lot of rain today, so it's been a little bit gloomy down here in Jefferson City, and but I'm looking forward to this interview that we have tonight that's going to brighten some things up. We're going to talk about some good stuff other than just rain happening outside. So tonight we have Cody Strope. He is a four-time state medalist in wrestling at Fatima High School, and we're going to talk to Cody about his article in Sports Locker magazine. And while we got that, I'm going to go ahead and pull that up here real quick. And as you can see, that's a pretty intimidating photo right there. And we'll talk a little bit with Cody about that and just kind of how everything went when we were doing the photo shoot there. Sometimes we run into circumstances where there's something going on in the school and we have to kind of improvise a little bit on getting the photo shoots done. And just want to give a shout out to our photographer, Katie Gill, on the outstanding job that she does, just bringing a little bit of creativity as well as being ready to change things on the fly. So, with that, guys, I want to go ahead and bring on our interviewee tonight, and it is Cody Strope of Fatima High School. Cody, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing really good. It's awesome to be able to get you on here and talk a little bit. I mean, man, you've had a great career at Fatima in wrestling, and I mean, as we can see, the like you were saying,
Mhm.
was it the district brackets up behind you
Yeah,
or section?
district
Yeah.
years, yeah.
So
District
you
years.
have kept yourself busy.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right. Well, hey, let's before we even get into about the other stuff, I want to, we brought up this picture here. That looks pretty intimidating. Um,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
we were talking about you wrestling Jay, my son-in-law. When we were there doing the photo shoots, and he was a little intimidated. Didn't want to do that, but when we were in the
Yeah.
gymnasium doing that photo shoot, they were having some type of testing where all these tables were set up in there. And you remember that, and we ended up having to shoot you in
Yeah,
between and doing some different things. So you can't even see
yeah,
those
I remember.
tables. Yeah,
Yeah.
very good. Well, hey, tell us a little bit about your article in Sports Locker and what did you enjoy most about that?
I was glad that they picked me to be in it, and that's something that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to do. And it's kind of a way to share my story and how all of our brothers began and how the dynasty, I guess you want to say, started, and pretty much that's about it.
Well, yep, let's go ahead and talk about that family background. I mean, you're the sixth wrestler and final wrestler at Fatima High School. Tell us a little bit about that. Who came before you?
In the article, I stated that Kurt Strope started it back in, I guess it was like 2004, and none of my parents ever did wrestling, so for him to be able to do that, normally you go with what your parents kind of do as a sport. They kind of persuade you to do that, but Kurt decided to try it out, and it's something that we all, I guess you want to call, followed him, and it ended up doing good for us, and all of us did good at it.
So why don't you go through and list your other brothers, their names, and we'll get into how successful you guys were as far as number of medals and advancing to the state tournament. We'll get into all that here in just a little bit, but tell us a little bit about your brothers and um, if you have an idea of their ages. Now you don't have to be specific on it, but if you're just close, that way I think what Kurt you said was 30, about 34 years old right
About,
now.
yeah, I think Kurt's close to 34, I think. And
Okay.
then next one, I believe, is Corey, and he's, I want to say, closer to 32. Then it goes Aaron, who is, I think, 30 now. Ryan should be, I think, closer to 28, 29. And then Jason, who is 21 now, and I am 19 now.
Okay. You have quite a line. So what does that look like during Thanksgiving dinner? I mean, you guys just all just attack each other? Is that what happens? Who gets the turkeys?
Yeah, no, no, not normally. No, usually we
All
just
right.
take turns, and I mean, see who can eat the most usually.
Yeah, that's right. Except
Mhm.
when you're trying to cut weight, you can't do that, right?
Yeah, then it's a little different then, but now
Yeah.
for me it's over, but I can be able to do that and participate in that.
Why don't you tell us a little bit? You talked in the article about your current wrestling coach, Kurt Strope, with your older brother. What was that like, wrestling for your brother, and how was that for you, team wise and as an individual?
Um, Him being a coach was nice and having him there, a lot of people don't get that, and he was always there whenever I needed it and helped me and the team to be a better wrestler. And freshman year, I mean, we ended up getting a state banner for our team, and that shows that he was a good coach and helped everybody out. And for me to be able to do that for him and show his name that he's a good coach is something that I felt was nice.
Yeah, that's great, and we'll get a little bit into that about the team finish and everything, how you talked about that being a big moment. Um, we do have some different people that are joining us on the program right now. If you guys have any comments or questions that you have for Cody, or just want to say some nice things about him, feel free to go ahead and put that in the comments section, and we'll make sure that he sees that. And if you have a good question, we'll share that. And also, if you got some stories you want to share about Cody, that's fine. We'll go ahead and put that out there too. Maybe, I'm just saying maybe we'll get his
Mhm.
approval. Uh, Cody, you guys, you're between you and your brothers. You guys had 16, now 17 state
Mhm.
medals with your third place finish this year. And as a whole, you guys reached the state championships 23 of 24 possible tournaments. Tell us about how special that history is and how it's important to you guys and the family.
As I said, Kurt started it back then, and for a new sport for us to be able to do that and be good at it like that. I mean, getting to state 23 out of 24 times is something that I mean, even some people just wish to go to state, and for us to be able to do that and then be able to place 17 out of those 24 times is amazing. That's something that I was glad to do and keep going, and hopefully we can keep the raise the number even more and
Mhm.
make it better.
Yeah, outstanding. I mean, that is quite. I mean, you said kind of the dynasty, which is interesting
Hmm.
because I never watched Duck Dynasty, but I just saw
Hmm.
a little program on that last night, and actually, it's pretty cool just how they were talking about their life and stuff. But a dynasty, you are exactly right. One
Yeah.
person following in line right after one, right after the
Hmm.
other.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
so if you guys came down to it, who would win in a wrestling match?
Yeah, that's hard to say. I mean, I'm like lower in the weight, so I mean, if we were all around the same weight, I mean, it'd be close, and
Yeah,
depending on like, I mean, everybody's wrestled like a long time ago, so I mean, it's hard to say
yeah.
who would be the best, but
So what you're saying is you would get them with speed, you would get them
mm,
with youth,
yeah,
and
I try to
and
do my best. And
and you would get them with endurance. I mean, you got a lot
yeah,
of
that
advantages right there.
that'd probably be my best thing. I mean, some of them are a lot bigger than me, so it's kind of hard for me to man them around more than
You just
anything. So I'd have to
just
try to
move
do as
just
much
move
as I
away
can
from
to
them. Just keep moving away from them until you see that
mm,
particular moment
try to
you can
wear them
go.
out more.
Yeah, that's right. Um, so you tell us about your brothers pushing you. How did they push you to become a better wrestler? And um, just tell us a little bit about that. Were they your role models? Did you look up to them?
Yeah, ever since I was started out wrestling, they were always there for me whenever I needed it, and I'm thankful to have them and them to be able to push me on and off the mat. Anytime during like a duel or tournament I did something bad, they were always quick to tell me that it was bad and I needed to be able to what I needed to do to perfect it. And as far eh, and something like I mean, a lot of people don't have the help they need like that, and for me to be able to have that is shows that I needed it, and all the placements and stuff I got for it is shows.
Okay. What was the highest finish any of your brothers placed?
Jason and Ryan both finished first their senior year, so that'd probably be the highest one.
Okay. Well, you did pretty good yourself. I mean, what? two second place finishes and two third place finishes in state. Tell us about those and what you did in each year, and also mention, because we talked about this a little bit before the program,
Mhm.
uh, that during each year, tell them what weight you wrestled at as well.
So freshman year, I kind of started in. I weighed 106, which is on the smallest end of wrestling. And back then, before usually wrestling season starts, they give your, I guess you want to call it rankings or whatever. And originally they had me seated 29th, which is, I mean, I didn't really do good in kids club or junior high, so I kind of seen that coming. But for me to be able to, go from 29th all the way to eventually beating the number one guy at a different tournament and putting me at number one, shows that, I mean, anything can happen during wrestling. And for me to be able to finish second shows that, like as I said, anything can happen. And sophomore year, I ended up finishing second again, which is nice. I mean, that's obviously, I mean, a lot of people wish they could be there, but
Hmm.
kind of sucks at the same time. But, you know, um, junior year, there's a goal to get at least top two again because I've got second, four. There's only one thing better, but, as I
Hmm.
said, wrestling's anything can happen. I mean, seeds are just seeds. I mean, one little move can pretty much end you, and I feel like that's why wrestling is one of the harder sports.
Right.
There's not usually a clear winner for anything. I mean, you gotta keep wrestling and make sure you're on top of the game. Senior year, same thing. I mean, just try to get top two, which I mean, every year they do brackets, and sometimes they end up bad, which is sort of the case for me that year. And I mean, it's gonna be what's gonna be at the end. And I was glad to be able to come back and finish third, which is something that
Hmm.
made me proud to be.
Yeah, and you had an unusual circumstance during your freshman year when you during COVID. Why don't you explain to everybody kind of what that looked like? And we talked about that before the program, but just share a little bit about that.
Yeah, as you said, freshman year, COVID was just starting to become a thing, and they didn't really like the idea of necessarily a lot of people being at the wrestling tournaments. So back way before, or I don't know how long ago, but they had sectionals was entered before districts, and you had to go to districts, which I think top four moved on to sectionals, which eliminated even some people. Then you went to sectionals, which then again limited more people, and I guess lowered your odds of making it to state, which is, I mean, even harder now, but it's easier now because sectionals isn't there. And then at state, they pretty much had two sections that you had to go to. Family and I guess your friends and stuff were on one side, and then the wrestlers had to be on the other side. And the only way you were able to talk to your parents was by going down on the other side and walking over there with a mask on most of the time.
Mm. Yep, pretty different. We were talking nothing that we'd want to go through again, and glad that that's
Mm-hmm.
behind us. So that's good. But man, great job. I mean, two, like you said, not many people can say that they accomplished what you accomplished. So outstanding job.
Yeah.
Before we go to break, I did have one other question I wanted to ask, and it goes back to talking about Coach Strope. And do you feel like maybe he had a higher expectations out of you as a wrestler since he was your brother?
I mean, freshman year, he really pushed me because, I mean, at Fatima, they have banners for every sport, and at the time, wrestling didn't have anything. So for him, he really wanted me to push and be really good and uh, be able to be a good wrestler and place high at state for us to be able to get a banner, which ultimately ended up having making us be able to get one. So
Hmm.
that's something nice and felt good.
Good. What did you appreciate most about him and coaching you?
I mean, as I said before, he was always there for me, and anytime I needed it, even after losses, freshman year, being second first time, it's something that sucks, but at the same time, you got 3 more years after that, and I
Hmm.
still feel like it helped me. And as I said, he's my brother, so he can't be ashamed about that, and he's
Absolutely.
always there.
Oh, very good. All right, doing an outstanding job. We've flown through this first part. We'll take a quick sponsor break, and then we will be back here in just a few moments and do segment two.
Okay.
CNS Business Services has been connecting employees with employers since 1977. Recently, CNS rebranded to CNS Employment Solutions to more clearly define their mission of serving the needs of applicants, employees, and businesses while remaining current and evolving with the changes in the workforce. One important thing has not changed. CNS Employment Solutions partners with a wide variety of employers, placing employees in jobs that match their skills and needs.
Say yes to CNS.
Okay, we really appreciate CNS Employment Solutions and the work that they do right here in Mid-Missouri, finding people jobs as well as finding employees for employers that need to fill those positions. We just want to say thank you to Paula Benny and her entire team at CNS Employment Solutions for just their years of support for Sports Locker Magazine, being able to bring great interviews as well as doing our One Nation of Sports Locker Magazine extra program on Monday nights. Again, bringing great interviews with these student athletes right here in Mid-Missouri. Also, I want to just give a quick shout out to Big Whiskey's doing our coach of the issue. This particular issue is Leslie Verslois. And, just like we've been talking about Coach Strope and how impactful he's been on the program there at Fatima High School, just the amount of work that these coaches put in, pouring into these student athletes, giving up their time, away from families a lot of the time, spending late hours, just the dedication, but just how important it is to tell their stories as well. And we just want to thank Big Whiskies for that. Well, guys, we have been talking to Cody Strope from Fatima High School. And again, as we were talking, he was four-time state medalist. And now we're going to go ahead and get into the second part of our interview. And we're going to find out just a little bit more. And then we'll have some fun at the very end. We'll do a speed round and get some fun question and answer going on. So, Cody, great job. Thanks for, again, being on here tonight on a rainy Monday night and towards the end of
Yeah.
March.
Mm,
You, I know you don't want to be doing anything else other than being on here, right?
yeah. Another thing that would be only homework and stuff. Otherwise, I'm
Okay, all
excited.
right. You can say thank you later. That's good. I want to talk about a record that you set, and you achieved that last year when you broke the record for most wins in a season with 52. Why don't you tell us about that and what was your total record overall?
I think that year it was, I want to say 52 and 3, maybe.
Hmm.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's close. It's for sure 52 wins. I think there's like 3 or 4 maybe losses. I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Yeah. What's that mean to you to have a record like that?
I mean, as I said, wrestling is, some people say, is one of the hardest sports to play in high school and, go on to college. I mean, for me to be able to get 52 wins in like a high school is something that, I mean, anybody is capable of doing, but not a lot of people do it. And for me to be able to do that at Fatima, that record I feel like is going to be there for a while until I'd say another Strope or somebody else that's going to be good is going to come up and beat it. But it should be there for a while, and I'm glad for that.
Well, at least until some of the Strope family starts having some kids, and then they come up and try to attack what would be at that time their uncle's record. So,
Yeah, that's it.
how long have you been wrestling? And tell us a little bit about club wrestling.
I'd say I started closer to 5 if I can remember correctly, and um, I mean wrestled in stuff. So I mean before there's a lot of tournaments and stuff that I was able to do, and I feel like that kind of helped me to become better. I said high school, so I don't know if he was able. He didn't start when he was 5, so for him to be able to do stuff that he's able to do is, it's great.
Good. Um, how much did you train throughout the year? A lot of people think that you get into a sport and it may be just training for a little bit of time, conditioning ahead of time. In wrestling, there's a lot more involved to that. How much time did you put into that, and what kind of training and conditioning did you do?
I think freshman year, I mean, as I said, Kurt wanted me to be really good, and I used to go all the way to St. Louis for about, I think, every Tuesdays and Thursdays for about like 2 hours and go there and wrestle with a bunch of people that are around the St. Louis area. And I feel like that kind of helped mostly all through summer. And then, as I said, when wrestling started in the fall, that's kind of where I did that, and then still continued on until next year. And I just kept continuing the same thing. I think
Okay,
throughout the year, as much as more. So,
okay, good. I having your microphones cutting out a little bit. Don't know if losing power on
okay,
the.
right.
Okay.
Let me see it either. That might be
Okay.
better. I'll see if it fixes it.
Okay. If it works, you can just pull them off. That'll be fine. That's no problem. I want to talk a little bit about, um, when we're talking about training, what are some of the special routines, conditioning strategies? Um, when you talk about that, and you having to maintain a certain weight to wrestle out, what's that like as far as, I mean, was it hard to cut weight, or were you usually pretty consistent?
I'd say freshman year it was pretty easy. I was like probably 102 at the time, and as I said, wrestling it was 106 was the weight for that, so it wasn't as hard. I mean, as the uh, years went on, I kept getting bigger and whatnot. So I went to 113, and then it was a little easier, kind of hard at the same time. But then once I got up
Mhm.
to junior and senior year, junior was all right. I kind of weighed 32, and it wasn't as hard. It was like 5 or 6 pound cut. Then come senior year, I think I weighed like maybe 144 before the season started.
Mm.
So for me to get down to 126 is, I mean, really hard. And I feel like a lot of people just don't want to do that type of thing. And all the routine I did for that. I mean, I ate lunch most of the time at school, and then when I got home, I probably drank about a water bottle and maybe ate some fruit, and that was about it for most of the time.
Yeah. No,
But
I for sure wouldn't like that.
mhm.
Well, I know it takes a lot of dedication and hard work. So again, well done. Speaking of dedication and hard work, I want to talk about your parents. What have you learned from them, and what do you appreciate the most about them?
You know, as my dad, he started out, he never wrestled, neither did my mom or did anything. I don't know if they did sports in high school for sure, but they never did wrestling. And I think as Kurt started it, they kind of picked up more of like what's good and what's bad in wrestling. And as by the time I came around, they kind of knew what was what's good in wrestling, and they kind of I feel like they helped me to become better. And as I said, like my brother Kurt, they were always there for me after losses, even when I needed it. And as I said to their brothers too, they would always tell me what's wrong or what's bad or what I need to work on to get better. And that means a lot to me.
Good. All right. So, whose voice did you hear the most at the matches?
On occasionally it's probably my dad for me doing, I don't know, some stupid stuff or something like that. He kind of just there's always something. I mean, as I said, wrestling's a sport that anything can happen at any moment, and
Yeah.
I feel like I was one of those occasions that I kind of did something like that and always ended up on my back at some point, and he was always yelling at me or something like that.
Well, at least you could hear him, right?
Yeah, that's the main point.
So what do you feel like are characteristics that you've gained from your parents that you're going to be able to apply in life as you go on?
Um, I'm trying to think here. Can we skip that question and come back to it later?
Absolutely, absolutely. Uh, Tell us, one of the things that you talked about is your family has always maintained sportsmanship. Why has that been so important to you in your career?
I mean, wrestling is one of the hardest sports, and to be able to show sportsmanship and not get mad at something like that, it's not always good to see somebody throwing their headgear or slapping the mat or
Hmm.
trying to do stuff like that. It's always right to congratulate the guy that you lost to, and make sure that they know. And I mean, it's always bad whenever you see somebody just get mad after a match. You gotta try to keep your composure and keep going
Yeah.
and keep going out there. I mean, after losing my semifinals match, it's always you got to keep that composure. Otherwise, it's just gonna keep going on and on. After that match, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm just gonna keep losing. You got to keep that composure. And, I think that kind of helps you keep more winning and keep
Hmm.
going.
So, as a leader this year, and seeing that with the underclassmen, how were you to help encourage them to have that same type of sportsmanship?
As I said, showing them after tough losses, I mean, not to get mad, over stuff like that, and even in the room, I was always telling them and showing them and whatnot, like what's good, and even if like they're after a lost match, I was always there to comfort them, kind of at times. And whenever they did something bad during a wrestling match, I'd always correct them and tell them what's wrong and make sure they knew that it needed to be fixed or whatever it had to be.
Okay. I just thought of a better way to rephrase that question I asked you a little while ago. So, a lot of times people will say, "You're just like your mother. You're just like your father." What characteristic have you picked up from either one of those two? that you want to be able to continue to carry on?
I feel like they kind of, they're always there, standing out. I mean, as I said, my dad, even after tough matches, he'd always like congratulate the other wrestlers, making sure
Hmm.
they're all right, telling them what's good and what's bad. So I feel like I kind of carried on that trait. And, I was always there
Yeah,
for people even after tough losses, and I feel like they're there for me too. So it's kind of nice to
good.
have that.
Yeah, carrying that sportsmanship along and everything you do, that's great. What have you enjoyed most about your experience at Fatima High School?
I mean, as wrestling, it's a nice sport and everything about it. For me to be able to do that and could be good at it is nice, and um, that's I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah,
I think.
that's good. Education wise, what did I mean, and with your high school classmates, what did you enjoy about that? Any experiences that you're going to remember?
Can you re-say the question?
Yeah, your classmates, outside of sports, outside of wrestling, what do you appreciate about your classmates, teachers, um, faculty?
Um, you know, I, Even after the losses, they're always there to congratulate me. Even if it's not what you wanted, they're always there, and I feel like that's kind of nice. And I mean, yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so we talked a little bit about this, but why don't you share what's next for you? Some of your thoughts about after high school. What are you wanting to do, and what are some of your plans?
As of right now, I am probably going to attend state tech. I mean, unless some offer comes up for wrestling and I like it, I probably might go to do that. But otherwise, as of right now, I'm going to state tech. And, plans after that, I might go back and wrestle with some of the high schoolers and, make sure they get the placements and medals that they want and that they deserve, and, make sure they get that.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do a quick little shout out on the program. State Tech, you need to get a wrestling program. That's what needs to take place, and Cody will be ready to start it up and lead. So there you go. That'll be a great
Mhm.
opportunity. And if not,
Yeah.
just want to holler out and tell them you guys need to do that. We're just not going to give any other options.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
there you go. Um,
Mhm.
Cody, you've done an outstanding job. It's been good having you on here, but I want to go ahead and we're going to hop
Mhm.
into the speed round real quick, just asking a few questions. Um,
Okay.
what was your favorite go-to snack or meal after a wrestling match?
Um, that's a tough question. Probably what's it called? I'm not really sure what to call it anymore. Mm, I'm trying to think what they're called. Nerds clusters. Those are good.
Okay, Nerds
Those are
Clusters. All
usually my
right,
favorite.
you went straight for the sweet stuff,
Other than
right?
that, it's probably free. You don't want to get too much of sugars and stuff. Otherwise, you might not wrestle as good. So
Right,
it's always good
right.
to get food like that.
All right. How about this one? What is the least favorite chore that you have to do around the house?
Probably doing dishes. I don't really care to mess with that type of stuff, and it's just to me, it's gross and stuff like that. I don't really care to do that as much if I had to.
Does that help you have a better appreciation for your mom or your dad, whoever it is that typically does them?
I mean, kind of, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. All right. So then we got to ask this question: Is it a dishwasher or is it hand washing?
It depends on what we usually cook, but most of the time we have a hand washer, but other times it's dishwasher. So as I
Okay.
said, it depends on what we cook, but for the most
Okay.
part, it probably usually is dishwasher.
Yeah. Gotcha. On the mat, what would you say your personality? What superhero would you kind of identify with? I mean, that mentality. If they were to describe you as an Avenger or a superhero, which one would that be?
Um, Honestly, I'd probably say somewhere along the lines Flash. I was small. I was like usually when you're small, you're always quick. So that was something that I felt like I kind of something I was able to do.
Good. If there is anywhere in the world you would want to go, where would that be and why?
Uh, Probably maybe Florida. I've never been to a beach, so something like that would be nice for me to be able to go see and stuff like that. So.
Okay. Very cool. We'll throw that out there. Their mom and dad,
Mhm.
that's a place that Cody would like to go. What a great gift to give him for his senior
Yeah.
year.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just throwing that. I'm trying to help you tonight, man. I'm trying to help you.
Yeah.
All right, Cody, that's all I got. Great interview. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to
Yep.
have you go ahead and hold on with me until after I close out the program. I'll visit with you really quickly afterwards. But any final comments or anything that you want to say? How about
Yeah. That's
how
about
about
it
to
for
the
me.
fans? How about to the fans in Fatima? Anything you want to say to them?
I guess thanks for coming and enjoying the show, I guess.
Awesome. All right, I'll be with you right back in just a few moments. Thank you again, Cody.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining us on the program tonight. We had senior Cody Strope of the Fatima High Comet wrestling team, four-time state medalist. What an outstanding young man, coming from a long line, or as he called it, a dynasty of Stropes in wrestling right down there in Fatima. And just a great young man, a great story. Sad to see that kind of end for now. Again, as family members start having kids, maybe they're going to come in and try to take out Cody's record of 52 wins on down the road. But for right now, that we're thinking that's going to stick around for a while. Hey, thank you so much for joining us on the program tonight. This is your host, Kirk DeMars of One Nation of Sports Locker Magazine Extra. Thank you. God bless you, and we will see you next week.